After finishing up scuba diving in Cozumel, I had no idea what I was going to do next. But thankfully, to an Instagram story, an old college friend of mine, Gustav, hit me up and told me he was going on a surf trip to the southern coast of Oaxaca. So I found the next flight out of Cancun and hopped on it. Just touched down in Huatulco from a flight that transferred in Mexico City. And I'm here to meet up with a good friend, Goose. So we're gonna try to get some surfing done and explore the Oaxaca state. The romantic first night in Huatulco. Yeah, baby. With some Channing Tatum on the TV. On the way to Hobbit. Counting his bunny. Puerto Escondido definitely had a different vibe from the other beach towns like Cancun and Playa del Carmen I had experienced previously. Those towns seem to attract a lot more foreign tourists, where Puerto seemed to be a place local Mexicans would actually go to vacation. We found Cristobal over there, and he's got a slackline up, and we're trying. We arrived at a time when heightened COVID restrictions had caused a lot of people to leave the city, and so it didn't feel overcrowded, and it was fun mixing amongst the locals.
North to salt, squirt the lime in your eye, and then take it.
What are you, like,
The original intent was to surf, but Puerto's famous break is called Zicatela, also known as Mexican Pipeline, which is home to some of the most dangerous waves in the world. An annual big wave competition is held here every year. It's safe to say that I didn't even try surfing here, but Goose managed to find a break closer to the point called La Punta that had much more manageable waves, so here's his post-surf report.
Woke up at 5:30. Questioned whether I was actually gonna go surfing or not because I was fucking tired after being woken up like three separate times.
By me stumbling in at like 4 a.m.
Yeah. And I took a taxi at 5:50 down to the beach, and I asked the taxi driver if it was dangerous to be at the beach at night, just because, I mean, you never know.
Pitch dark too, right?
Yeah, it was pitch dark, just the moonlight, which was kind of nice, honestly. And then when sat down, I wasn't sure where to paddle out because it was still super dark. So I waited for someone else to go in the water, and then I just followed them in the darkness, and then caught my first wave under moonlight, which was quite nice.
That
and
is
then
sick.
Was out there until probably like 9:45, almost 10. So I was surfing for like 3 hours about, which is pretty sweet, and got some really sick lefts.
You just drop in and just smack the lip. Whoop-ah!
Like one of the only left point breaks around this area in Mexico. I'm a goofy foot, so I like that because that's my front side. And yeah, it was sick. When low tide came up, the waves really jacked up, and it was fucking fun. Except it was crowded as shit. There were so many people in the water, which people have told me, and like that's why it was worth it going out that early, because in the beginning there was only like maybe 10 or 15 of us trading waves, so I got some super solid ones.
So while Goose was
Get pitted.
I was able to hang out with Cristobal, whom you met earlier, and some of his friends from Mexico City. It was really interesting because we were able to connect with each other through conversations about life and realizing that a lot of the life challenges that I was facing were similar to the ones that they were facing as well. On top of that, there were a lot of people that we were hanging out with who were really familiar with the area, and they gave us some insight into another really cool surf spot called Chikawa. Now, Chikawa is technically a national park, but it has an amazing point break. And we found out that there was an amazing swell that was coming in that weekend, and so our game plan was to try find a way to get there on Sunday. And as fate would have it, one day Goose and I were just walking down the street trying to get more groceries, and this random dude called Coco reached out to us and said, had we heard of Chikawa? Obviously we were a bit suspicious, but we said yes. And so after having a conversation with him, he seemed trustworthy enough to agree to set up an early pickup on Sunday morning to take us to Chikawa.
What time do you think we'll get there if we left at 5:30?
Because you still got to take that little boat crossing and you have to do that, so, you know what I mean? I want you guys there at 7. I don't want to fuck around.
No, I want to get in the water, yeah. Go surf.
The goal is to be in the water at 7.
Alright, let's do it. Yeah. Gonna get some fucking tubes.
Alright, it's now 5:30 a.m. on a Sunday, and we managed to meet this guy called Coco, who's going to take us to Chikawa, which is not like an island, but you have to take a boat to get there, and it's going to be some good surf, hopefully.
It comes as no surprise that Coco was not as reliable as we expected, and so we ended up having to find a colectivo, which is also known as a shuttle bus, to take us to where the boats were. Thanks to some of Goose's negotiation skills, we were able to find accommodation in a 2-bed cabana that had 2 fans and a shower, which was all we needed to survive. Its location was ideal because it was right next to the path which leads to the point break, and you can cut your paddle out time by jumping in from the rocks at the end. I didn't end up filming any of our surfing from a POV perspective, but here's a little taster of what they looked like.
With the disco ball above us shooting light into the galaxy. For a moment we were home in this town. They told us only play the hits, 'cause we'll need a soundtrack as we wander through the barren west. And I felt we weren't alone in this life. this crowded plastic echo chamber, mumbling along till half light.
During our 2 days in Chikawa, catching waves and sunsets, we also managed to find Restaurante Bertita, which had some simple but delicious food that kept us going.
También. Gracias.
We are back at our favorite restaurant, Restaurante Bertita. And this man's so hungry after a surf session. Look at this. Double order of enchiladas. I got some prawn tlayudas, shrimp tlayudas.
I'm gonna have to let me taste that.
Maybe.
Because it looks dang.
My time with Goose is now coming to an end, and my original game plan was to head to Oaxaca City to explore and edit videos for about a week. However, on our last night in Chikawa, we decided to do a hike to the top of this lighthouse, which is on the other side of the lagoon, and we meet some new friends. One of them was Rita, a girl from Portugal who was also leaving the next day, but she was intending to go to San Cristobal. Over the course of the trip, I had several people come up to me and tell me that I needed to check out this place. And so it wasn't a very difficult decision to cancel my plans and join her on an adventure. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace!